All right, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're doing well. We'll continue with a little bit of Flowers for Algernon today. So, if you remember when we read last time, Friday, Charlie confessed, "Hey, I'm in love with Miss Kinnian." Miss Kinnian was like, I mean, not in the same conversation, but she had doubts that the operation would continue going, like the results would continue going better. And I'm also in a different place to record. So I'm just checking out. Sometimes the internet, like there's pauses and stuff when I record. Just that corner of the room might not be great. So that's why I'm in like kind of more the middle of the room. So in today's reading, we are going to find out that maybe there are kind of the first glimpses of how this operation might not be a success. Yeah, couple things. I don't want to say too much, but maybe as we go through, like, oh, could that be foreshadowing? I think there's one, we'll probably end with it. There's one that's like, ooh, hang on. All right. And the reading at the beginning, the reading for me at least was very tough because it was so bad. Today, the reading is going to be tough because it's so tough. It's like, it's so good. It's so well written. He used a couple words there, like, whoa, wait a second. Hopefully I can read them without pausing, messing up too much. All right, here we go. And of course, at any point, got something to say, raise that hand. We'll stop. We'll talk. If not, let's do it. So May 15th is the first time we're reading it here. This is our new reading, but I do want to talk about the old reading where he says, I'm now more alone than I've ever been before. That's not good, right? Humans are social creatures. We like to be around other people, most of us, even introverts, can't go for too long. Prisoners who are in solitary confinement is one of the worst punishments ever. Like most, not all, but 99 point whatever, 5% maybe, humans like being around other people. And when you're not around other people, it can get pretty hard. Life can get pretty hard. All right, so he is a lot of it's going to be loneliness here. He's still got Miss Kinnian, but Dr. Strauss is very angry at me for not having written any progress reports in 2 weeks. He's justified because the lab is now paying me a regular salary. I told him I was too busy thinking and reading. When I pointed out that writing was such a slow process that it made me impatient with my poor handwriting, he suggested I learn to type. It's much easier to write now because I can type nearly 75 words a minute. Dr. Strauss continually reminds me of the need to speak and write simply so that people will be able to understand me. So that's a huge change. He's got to like kind of dumb down his writing here. I'll try to review all the things that happened to me during the last 2 weeks. Algernon and I were presented to the American Psychological Association, sitting in convention with the World Psychological Association last Tuesday. We created quite a sensation. Dr. Namor and Dr. Strauss were proud of us. I suspect that Dr. Namor, who is 60, 10 years older than Dr. Strauss, finds it necessary to see tangible results of his work, undoubtedly the result of pressure by Miss Namor. Charlie is clearly digging into the psychology of these two doctors to see what makes them tick, even though he has been told, I can't remember by which one, but he's been told by one of the doctors, do not read anything on psychology. Seems like he's just picking up on it anyway. Tangible, that's there, just means like something you can feel, hold. And even though we don't really, it's not really something you can feel or hold, but maybe like the love between the two of them is tangible. Like you can't see it. It's just like you can feel it. Like, oh yeah, it's there. The stress in the room was tangible. Like, you can't really see it, feel it, but you can. One of those things. All right, next page here. Contrary to my earlier impressions of him, I realize that Dr. Namor is not at all a genius. He's a very good mind, but struggles under the specter of self-doubt. He wants people to take him for a genius. Therefore, it is important for him to feel that his work is accepted by the world. I believe that Dr. Namor was afraid of further delay because he worried that someone else might make a discovery along these lines and take the credit from him. All right, that, I don't know, that could be kind of important right there. And I still can't highlight what I want. Why can't I? Can't highlight what I want. But that last part that we read, should we pause for a second? It's kind of a tough one, but all right. So I don't know. Did anybody say this? Like, they are rushing this. Like, they don't know exactly how this is all going to play out. Remember, I get the doctors confused. I'm not sure if it matters which is which, but one of the doctors wanted to wait. Like, hang on, I don't know, man. Let's just make sure this thing plays out okay. And then the other doctor was like, no, we got to get it out. So they're probably one of the doctors really wanted the credit for this, because it is an amazing thing, right? To bring someone who is feeble-minded, they're going to use that term later on, up to the point of a genius. This guy obviously knows what's going on. It's a pretty amazing discovery, kind of like that Neuralink, right? But what if there are some problems? What if there are some ramifications? All right, let's make this bigger, make me smaller. Dr. Strauss, on the other hand, might be called a genius, although I feel that his areas of knowledge are too limited. He was educated in the tradition of narrow specialization. The broader aspects of background were neglected far more than necessary, even for a neurosurgeon. I was shocked to learn that the only ancient languages he could read were Latin, Greek, and Hebrew, and that he knows almost nothing of mathematics beyond the elementary levels of the calculus of variations. Okay. When he admitted this to me, I found myself almost annoyed. It was as if he had hidden this part of himself in order to deceive me, pretending, as do many people I've discovered, to be what he is not. No one I've ever known is what he appears to be on the surface. Dr. Namor appears to be uncomfortable around me. Sometimes when I try to talk to him, he just looks at me strangely, turns away. I was angry at first when Dr. Strauss told me I was giving Dr. Namor an inferiority complex. Ooh, that's good. Maybe we should pause right here. What is that? An inferiority complex. I mean, it's right within the name. I mean, the words, it's just, they're big words. All right, an inferiority complex is when somebody makes you feel less than you really are, or you feel like they are making you feel, it can get very disturbing. I mean, it can get very confusing because nobody can make you feel a certain way. Like, that's true. Nobody can make you feel a certain way. You have to allow them to. But I mean, you also have to be a very strong personality to do that. But it seems like the doctor is intimidated by how smart he's becoming. All right. It's very difficult here reading, I think. And some of these concepts. All right, we're right here. Oh, can I actually highlight it? Nice, sort of. How was I to know that a highly respected psycho-experimentalist like Dr. Namor was unacquainted with Hindustani? It's in Chinese. Is that a language down there? Yeah. Hindustani is a language. It's absurd when you consider the work that is being done in India and China today in the very field of his study. I think the same is true, at least for China, with that stem cell research we talked about earlier. And this was written in the 60s, don't forget. I asked Dr. Strauss how Namor could refute Rahajamati's attack on his method and results if Namor couldn't even read them in the first place. So this, with context clues, no idea who this is, but I think this is a fictional, doctor made up by the author. And it could be somebody that is competing with these two doctors, but their native language is not English. That strange look on Dr. Strauss's face can mean only one of two things. Either he doesn't want to tell Namor what they're saying in India, or else, and this worries me, Dr. Strauss doesn't know either. I must be careful to speak and write clearly and simply so that people won't laugh. And I do believe the doctors, or at least somebody working for them, will read these progress reports. So, May 18. I'm very disturbed. I saw Miss Kenyon last night for the first time in over a week. I tried to avoid all discussions of intellectual concepts and to keep the conversation on a simple, everyday level. She just stared at me blankly and asked me what I meant about the mathematical variance equivalence and Doberman's fifth concerto. So that sounds like he was talking about something with math and also classical music. I think most people, especially if they're getting together with like maybe their boyfriend or whatever, unless it's a very unique couple, not a lot of couples really want to dive deeply into that over dinner. Some might. Doesn't seem like Miss Kinnian does. So be a very special person that Charlie would have to find to match his intelligence. And I do see this. Like I've been teaching middle school for a long time, 20 years, and middle school is one of those kind of interesting places where you have some people that are like super mature, more like seniors, I guess, and you still have some people that are super immature, maybe a stretch, but more like kindergartners or something like that, right? So when you see people that interact with each other and just like on totally different levels, some super tall and almost fully grown, some people still haven't hit their growth spurt yet. It's really kind of crazy dichotomy, use a fancy word like Charlie might use. So it's a very interesting difference there. And then I don't think we have this year, but in years past, there've always been like kind of one or two students that are just like so mature that they don't really like fit in with they don't like the other things that their, people in their class like. They probably feel a little bit alone in that respect. I don't think we have that here, I guess. I don't see too many people when we go out to recess like completely alone. So that's a good thing. But there have been years past where like just some students felt more comfortable talking with teachers, which is kind of sad in itself, but they just have to wait for the rest of their like people in their class to catch up with them when it comes to maturity. So that can be frustrating, sad, I guess, for a teacher. And I always know like, okay, they're going to meet their people eventually, which is good. Unfortunately, I don't think Charlie is going to meet his people because he might be alone in this world. There might not be anybody that can match his intellect, which probably is going to be frustrating. Already is getting frustrating for him, but the more that time lingers on with this, the more he's probably going to get frustrated. All right, so let's get back to this. I almost forgot to share with you here. It looks like we're not going to get to the part where I wanted to, but it's all right. We don't want to make this too long here. When I tried, so they're still together at this dinner here. When I tried to explain, she stopped me and laughed. I guess I got angry, but I suspect I'm approaching her on the wrong level. No matter what I try to discuss with her, I'm unable to communicate. I must review Vorstadt's equations on levels of semantic progression. I find that I don't communicate with people much anymore. Thank God for books and music and things I can think about. I'm alone in my apartment at Miss Flynn's boarding house most of the time and seldom speak to anyone. So more isolation here. The last one, I love it how like it doesn't even, okay, I'm not gonna get hung up on this too much, but like it doesn't make any sense, the highlighting. Unfortunately, yeah, our buddy here, Charlie, getting more and more alone in the world. So this seems like, I guess today was more like a bridge to get to, took a little bit longer than I thought to get to the other parts, but two major things are going to happen tomorrow. No spoilers, but it's really going to be, at least for me when I read this the first time, eye-opening. Like, that might be our first proof that, I don't know, actual proof things are not well. All right, so time to work in class. Frank and Beans, then out of here on a Tuesday. Adios.